Welcome to the Dropping Gems After Show. On today's show, we have our guest Jamal D. Holmes, survivor of mental health and drug challenges. He has devoted his life to being a bridge and advocate for those still in the grips of their challenges. Jamal is a state certified in the fields of mental health, DNA, and forensics. Welcome, Jamal, to the show.
If you are seeking a midwinter getaway, look no further. The Rewind Network has your back. Join us for a weekend of love at the Woodloch Pine Resort in Hawley, PA, March 4th through 6th, 2022. This is not your ordinary weekend getaway. We've got the lights and we've got the action. This will be a star-studded event. Experience a fashion show powered by Pure Romance by Venice, Hunnits the Line, and Dropping Gems clothing line. Catch the vibe all weekend long with banging sounds from the Rewind Radio Network DJs and special guests. Schmooze and groove during the House Music Day Party, powered by Jackson's Cafe, hosted by Stacy Jackson. All this while enjoying a list of amenities and breakout sessions around the fabulous resort. Developing concert artist line to be announced. It's all inclusive and just for you within our illustrious package, a weekend of love, presented by the Rewind Network. For booking information, contact Vanya 516-770-2196.
Hello, everyone, and welcome, Jamal, to the show. Jamal, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know it's been a while. We've been trying to plan this, and it's finally happened. So I'm so excited to have you here on my show today. And I just want to start off by learning a little bit more about you and what you do. So I thank you so much, Jamal, for coming on the show.
And you're welcome. And thank you for having me, Keisha. Yes, we've been trying to get this going, and I'm excited about it. And I'm also grateful that you asked me to be a part of this process. A little bit about me. Okay, well, right in the current moment, I'm a 50-year young man, right, who has experienced mental health from the age of 12 all the way up into the age of 43, undiagnosed, right? I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what it was wrong. And I wasn't one who wanted to buy in what other people were saying was wrong, because the way that I was living was just crazy. Right, when we talking about leaving home at age 12, right, only to reside in abandonments and garages and all that, when you had your own home, your own bedroom, your own bed, to leave home to go stay in there says something wasn't particularly right, and there's some other, and for the next 31 years of living during that time, I've experienced a lot of various things in my life that just say that something just wasn't clicking right. I didn't know what it was. And my answer for the situations was take something, use something, just don't think about it, right? My first diagnosis was formed in 2014, at the age of 43. And they were only able to get that particular diagnosis of me because I was at a point in my life where I was tired of the way that my life was going. So I needed to find just something different to do, because what I was doing was killing me and killing everyone around me. So in that process, I sat long enough for them to determine what particular mental health challenges I had, and I found that I was suffering from PTSD as well as major depression. At that time, those was the ones they was able to identify from what I was telling them. I guess from the biosocial that they take, they was able to assess and basically pinpoint the diagnosis of why my life seemed to be a reoccurring cycle and why I kept going and going and going. And it came from the fact of the inability to deal with grief on a deep level, right? And from the traumatic events that took place during all those years just compounded the depression. So I was diagnosed with major depression, and like most, I was placed on some medication, some stabilizing medication.
Did you get therapy? I don't mean to cut you off, but did you receive therapy?
Yes. All that was invited in the beginning. A
So that was
therapist
at 43. So you're going from age 12 to 43, not
with
being
nothing.
diagnosed, no medication, and no sort of therapy.
None whatsoever. For main reason was because I wouldn't let them give
Uh,
me therapy. I wouldn't let them diagnose it. The suggestions came out a whole bunch, but having the will to say yay or nay, I chose nay because I personally didn't want to attribute something to me. So my struggle was fighting the reality, so to speak. It was something going on with me, but I was just refusing to accept that something was going on with me. So I accepted no things, and the things that I did in my life basically brought me to the place of despair. I was at the bottom of the bottom, and in that moment is when the opportunity for any type of help or assistance came in, because I was basically beaten. I was beaten, and any help was fine with me at that time.
so basically, you're saying that you really hit rock bottom at the age of 43, and
Yes,
that's when you accepted actual help at
yes,
that point.
yes,
Oh wow.
yes.
Okay.
But it wasn't help for the mental health in the be first. It was help for the other addictions that I acquired through the years. It
Oh,
was
got you.
those addictions that beat me down to the pulp, right? But it was also those addictions that I'm thankful they beat me down, because in the beating down process, we were able to identify what I really was challenged with, which led to me doing all those things in the first place.
I got you. Can you tell us, what do you mean by addictions? What were some of the things that you were dealing with?
Well, drugs, the only, listen, drugs, I experienced drug addiction,
Mhm.
experienced homeless addiction. Most
Homeless
folks don't
addiction.
know homelessness is an addiction.
Oh wow.
It's an addiction. After a period of time of being homeless, you fall into this spectrum of beginning to build your life around the homelessness. So it becomes a habit, and out of habit, it becomes the norm, right? And in order for that part to change, there has to be some type of breaking in the norm, right? You develop the comfortability with being homeless, right? And if you already suffer with addictive mentality, you
Mm.
just you just buy into it, right? You just become okay with sleeping on the ground, on the floor, wherever you can land. You become okay with not washing properly. You become okay with these things over a period of time. It doesn't start like that in the beginning, but once you become complacent, the addiction begins to build in you now. And how I know that to be true, because during those 31 years, there's been brief periods of abstinence from homelessness.
Mhm.
Live with a girlfriend here, rent a room there, get incarcerated here, right? Only to return to homelessness.
Mm.
Only to live my life so consumed with, okay, if I have to do something or be a certain kind of way that's not comfortable for me, my mind didn't say, okay, find some new way to live. My mind said, well, you know how to go build a hut on 12th Avenue on the waterfront, so go build you a hut. Like most people say, oh, I'll go into a shelter or I'll look for another family member. Mine said, no, go find a train station, go find a hut, go find an abandoned warehouse and make your bed.
Mm. That's interesting. Do you think that attributed to what? Do you think that started at the age of 12? Because you said that's when you started like running away and all of that.
Yeah. That becoming comfortable with,
Hmm.
with living or sleeping in a certain manner started at that early age. Now, it's not what my mom's in the wish for me is nothing, because when I would talk to him, she would always say, come on home. What's wrong with you? You crazy, right? But I wouldn't. Right. And so I stayed out there. So at an age of 12, you are subjected to a lot of stuff that comes with the streets. And
Yeah.
not being as courageous as I am now, being fearful, I found places to where I basically can hide. And the only places you can hide when you're homeless as a child is usually places where nobody's at. Abandonments, empty garages, things of that nature. So and so becoming comfortable with that way of living started at an early age.
Oh, wow. That's a story. And I'm so happy you overcame and that you're here with us.
Yeah, so am I. So am I, because I never believed that I could. Like
Mm,
I said, had it been not been for the other addiction, I might not have came to that point in time in my life. So as bad as that was the thing that enabled me to get to the place to where I had to acquire a new way of life. I had to be, humanize my life again.
mm, wow. So, with this and you dealing with your personal health struggles and, in a sense, overcoming them, what led you to the career path I'm assuming this what led you to the career path you are in now. So, can you explain what you are currently do?
Okay, what I currently do is that I'm a mental health advocate in the field of mental health. I'm also a certified peer support specialist, which basically simply says that through my lived experiences, I am the best support for someone who is enduring or challenged with the mental health spectrums in their lives and the surrounding things that take place in their lives. And my I know now that my life's path is why I'm in this career. When I
Mhm.
first started the career, it was just something to do along the lines of my own personal recovery. I wanted to stay in the realm of the recovery aspect for myself. I worked in different places prior to me getting into this field, right? But after work, I would always find myself centered around the recovery aspect, whether it be the people, the support groups, the utilization of the tools that's provided for me. And a friend had told me about the CPS, the opportunity to have the same stories that I tell in the support groups can be utilized in the aspect of a profession. So I went and I applied for the opportunity. I got denied 3 times. So it didn't
Oh,
happen right away. you
okay.
know, I had to wait 3 years. Each year I was overlooked. Each year I was overlooked. And yes, I had felt myself becoming depressed with that, because I was like, why what's wrong with my story? Is my story not good enough to help someone else, when everything else that's in my life says that my story is good enough? But in that one field, I was denied. And what I've come to understand, it was that I still had some things I had to go through in my own life before I can become a great example in this
Mm,
process, right? And I had to go through those things in my first 3-4 years of recovery from mental health and drug addiction. I had to go through them and stay on track, so to speak. I had to experience some things, right, and stay on track. I didn't know that, but that's what I did. And then when my time came and I got to meet the people that was issuing out the class, and in the process, right, they said that they've been having their eye on me for the last 3 years, but they were waiting to see how I developed in the process, whether or not I continue, first of all,
you
continue
could watch the
pursuing it,
extended
the
version.
sincerity of if this what I really want to do, because people's lives are contingent on my support. So
Mhm.
and thank my higher power that it was a true act in my heart that I wanted to support someone. And I went through and I've been in it ever since. And I've actually been blessed to be rewarded in further than most of the people I know in this process, who have many years of getting better than I do. I have surpassed all of them financially, position wise, things of that nature. And that's a miracle in itself. But and it's all based in my life. I have multiple fields that I do that exact same thing in, because I've experienced all those things throughout my life. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yes. And while you're talking, all I could think about is delay is never a denial. You know, you had to develop your skills, so to speak. You had to overcome certain challenges, and you didn't even know those people were watching you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I boiled it down to I had to believe. I had to believe in this process. I had to come to an unshakable belief
Hmm.
in what I do, right? In order to be good at what I do. Because the people that I support and I deal with, the last thing they need to see is doubt in me when they're trying to get out of the doubt that they have. So
Mm.
I had to come to a point to where like I do not bend, waver none whatsoever when it comes to the belief that every individual, no matter what challenges they face, they too can find their place in life and be okay with themselves.
Yeah.
I don't have a shadow of a doubt.
So I'm wondering now, you mentioned CPS as a
Yes.
certification. So can you describe that certification and the other ones that you have as well?
All right. Well, CPS is a certified peer support.
Mhm.
That falls under the mental health umbrella, right? It is acquired through whatever state you may be in, right? It's acquired, and you can work in any of the mental health fields with that certification, right? And in order to achieve that, one must have personal experience. In order to obtain that particular certification, it means that you yourself know what it feels like to have a mental health challenge, right? That one out of all my certifications has the broadest range because that particular certification allows me to work in all three fields, whether
Mhm.
it be mental health, drug and alcohol, or forensics, criminal justice system. So that one it requires the most training, the most credits, educational credits to obtain, right? And then the next one is the certified recovery specialist. That is given in the field of drug and alcohol, right? And it can work in any spectrum of the drug and alcohol, right? So they limit it. The forensic one is exactly the same, but it's detailed in the criminal justice system. It allows one to be able to interact in the criminal justice system with the individuals that's dealing with it, whether they out here still on paper, whether they in some drug court, whether they actually in the prison system themselves, right? I can connect with them and interact with them and be a part of them to offer them support or some ideas of how they can get better, as well as I'm also a mental health advocate. I affiliate, and my particular position is I work with the police departments in the county that I'm working as a basic liaison between the police and the individuals challenged with the drugs and the mental health and all that. So all all drug calls or all scenes that involve drug or mental health episodes that the cops receive, I also get a phone call. Either myself or my coworker get a phone call so that way we can be on the scene with the officers so that we can ensure that the individual is getting the best opportunity to get help, not accidentally getting shot because they may be in a mental health psychosis or a drug-induced psychosis. Also, it's a program that's helping to stop arresting folks because they having a mental health episode. So what it does is try to eliminate handcuffs being put on an individual who just may be having a crisis at the moment,
Yeah, mental
whether
health crisis.
drug
Yeah.
or mental health, right? Because we all know that that's a common trait between police when they interact, folks, that they don't comprehend. They really wasn't trained to deal with those situations. So everything they came on, they dealt with it from a police perspective. Put the handcuffs on them, throw them in the back seat. Let's charge them with some type of nuisance that we don't care. But the particular police department that I work with has bought into this program along with the county itself, right? To how can we, because the police are coming to realize that the arrests are not solving the situation.
No, it's not. And what is the name of this program? I missed the name.
The program is called Project Rebound. It's a
Oh,
diversion program, but it's called Project Rebound, and it's located. Is located in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Norristown,
okay.
Pennsylvania. That's where my office is at. And but even though those are the only police departments so far that we work with, I particularly work for the whole Montgomery County. So
Oh,
all the different towns and the different hospitals, because I also deal with the overdose survivors, things of that nature. I'm involved in many avenues when it comes to the support and the recovery process of mental health and drug and alcohol.
nice. I really like that they have this type of program because, when the police come out, in a sense, if someone's going through a mental health crisis or they're in a psychosis, it could actually exasperate the situation. As far as when you have someone who's trained like yourself to come in, you de-escalate, you relax. So I definitely could understand that. And I really like that. Thank you for what you're doing, especially for those who are dealing with mental health challenges. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. It gives me an opportunity because I spend a lot of time with the officers, which most of the people that know me, they tend to tease me and laugh at it because me and anything police related or anything was like this, my whole life. Like, listen, if I would have seen you talking to police officers at one point in time, we was done. I no longer had no trust. So it's amazing to be in a position where now I actually work side by side with them. But it's because of the belief that I have in the mental health aspect that I will even put my so-called name or representation at risk if it gives another individual opportunity at a shot to just make it. I don't care about what people think or see me as, because there's individuals out there, I call them, which I was called one time, the lost breed. The folks that most society just act like they don't exist, and they
Mm-hmm.
all crying out for just to be noticed. So I'm there at all takes.
That's beautiful, beautiful. So in this sense, you are taking a person-centered approach.
Yes, that's what it would be. What I do, which I share with a lot of therapists and doctors, I know this to be factual. No matter what information I provide these folks with, no matter what support I provide these folks with, no matter what direction I expose to them, none of it is effective until the individual themselves makes a decision to utilize
Mm,
it. And in order for you to get them to a place to where they're comfortable with utilizing these, then you have to start off with allowing them to develop them themselves. So sometimes they may make a decision to do something that I can know is a real bad decision, but I support them anyway because this is what I inform them. At least you made a decision. The people don't know how important it is to have the ability to make a decision until your decision is taken away from you
mm.
and someone else has to make it for you. And now you feeling like, wow, I can't even make a decision in my own life. Right? So we rebel against that. So the person-centered approach is that everything and anything that's a part of their support, they are aware of, they are a part of, and they have a major decision in how it's developed.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, when we separate and they go their way, you want the individual to feel comfortable with what they walking away with it. And the only way that's going to happen is if they actually input it into their lives. They are the expert. It's called they are the expert of themselves. There's nobody more know you more than you know you, Keisha. Nobody. No matter what you tell them, you still know you better than anybody else.
This is true. So basically, you're giving them the authority to know that they're in the driver's seat. You're in the
Yes,
passenger seat, but they're in the driver's seat.
yes, yes. Because without them, who would I be supporting?
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. Um, in a prior conversation we had prior to this interview, you talked about something called RAP. Now, what exactly is that, and how does that pertain to what you currently do with the people you work with?
Okay, what RAP is an acronym for a development. It's called a Wellness Recovery Action Plan.
Hmm.
It was developed by the Copeland Center. Ellen Mary Copeland, she's an individual who herself went through the mental health from being into the psych ward and the whole process from coming out of a state. She experienced what it was to be on the side of the individual with the mental health challenges. And through her experiences and the help of one of the nurses who cared enough to understand that it got to be a better way, they developed what they call a RAP. The RAP is centered around, it has different parts in it. It's an action plan. It's a plan that you write when you're in a state of wellness, first and foremost. When you're in a good space, you develop this. And what it is you begin to develop portions of it. Like in the beginning, you say, okay, what I look like when I'm doing good. And you write down a little characteristic that show you in a good space, right? What do I look like when I'm not doing good? You know, in other words, you write a list of stuff about you that is conducive for you, right? So that even for self, if you start to slip and you just need to look at your list to see what you're not doing, as to oppose as to what you're doing. And if it's not aligning with the things that you do when you're looking good or feeling good, right, then you got an opportunity to get back on track, you know, before you get to a state of crisis. But if so happens that the state of crisis do come, you have already developed a crisis plan. In that plan, you usually identify who needs to take care of what, providing you got your own place, who you want to be responsible for, and you talk to the people about this. Like one of the things that I've learned in this process is that when it comes to if I'm ever hospitalized, I don't have my wife as the one on my crisis plan or on my wellness plan as the one to make decisions because of the love and the anxiety that she gets when something's wrong with me. All her decision makings would be based out of emotional reaction.
Yeah.
So I don't put her in that position. I need the structural person, such as like my mom, who is able to take care of business without her emotions getting in the middle of them, right? So she's in that position. But the home care, the responsibility, the bills, all those things fall on my wife, right? And I also put down what medications not to give me.
Mm-hmm.
Because some medications you have allergic reactions. And sometimes when you go to these doctors, they think that their idea of what medication works the best is the best for you. And when you're in a state of crisis and you don't have no voice, it is very important that the same things that would happen when you're able to speak should be happening when you're not able to speak.
Right.
The law affords you to do this because it can be made a legal document. It's like a living will. It can turn into it's called an advance directive.
Okay.
To where the courts honor this as a legal document. The doctors in the hospitals or whoever has access to it must adhere to it. If they do not, they are liable to be sued. They are liable to be fault. So it is basically you writing down your voice. So if you ever in a place to where your voice is gone, you still can be heard. And you
Wow.
can utilize this in any spectrum, no matter what it may be, no matter what the challenges is. It's not solely centered around mental health, but it was developed because of mental health.
Oh, wow. You mentioned this an acronym, so can you tell us what the letters? I know it's WRAP. So the W
Yeah.
stands for.
Wellness.
Mm-hmm.
The R stands for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
The A stands for action, and the P stands for plan.
Yes. So when you have your RAP plan, well, your RAP, you're actually able to bring that with you. If you say you were to go to ended up going to a psych ward, or
Yeah.
wherever, if say you were to have a mental crisis, or if not, it's just like your wellness plan, so to speak, if you don't have mental health issues.
Yes, yes. So basically, if one develops it, right, it's a structure. I have some, in my bag. I carry them. I try to incorporate that with all the people I support to develop that, because you can have that. Once you make it advanced directed, you can add it to your medical files. You can add it to the places that it needs to go to. So if you ever involved in anything to that nature, whether it be drug, whatever it is, it's already notified there. So it's basically it's a recovery action, and it states for action plan, because if you ever need to, it helps the individual while they're in a good space, stay in a good space. And it also helps the individual if they ever in a crisis, right, not be dealt with or treated any kind of way while being in a crisis, because they not adherent, or the ability to be able to rationalize doesn't, it's not there. They still can be, have to be treated like if they was in that place of wellness. So
Mm.
it's a very, very resourceful tool for anyone who has any type of mental health challenges, that can take them to the place of, when they get to that hyping or that psychosis state, right? What medications you take, what you don't take, all the information that's about you that keeps you in a good place, and that keeps you, when you're in a bad place, from being treated any kind of way. We all know the history of mental health, and when we go on psych wards, at one time, psych wards was some of the horrendous places for
Yeah.
someone with mental health challenges to land up. Nobody want to become a guinea pig. Nobody want to be subjected to trial medications and all these things that they tend to impose on some folks when they're in that mental health state, right? So it's developed, and it's renowned. Anyone can look it up, right? Under the Copeland Center, Ellen Mary Copeland Center. All the information is there, and it's accessible to anyone. It doesn't cost you a dime to
Mm.
have it. So
Yes.
yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you so much. Well, Jamal, thank you so much for all this information you have given us today. And I just want to thank you for the path you're walking on and accepting your life's purpose. It's much appreciated, and I just love the work that you're doing.
Yes, and I thank you for having me, and giving me this opportunity to share this with folks abroad, right? I think that the word and communication is vital when it comes to mental health. People can become more educated and more informed, right? I want to just share these last things for anyone. The 5 key concepts of recovery. It's called H Press. The H stands for hope. The P stands for personal responsibility. The E stands for education. The S stands for spirituality, which you so much in tune with. And the second S is for support.
Yes,
Those particular tools right there will always give the individual opportunity to find recovery from whatever they're dealing with.
yes. Thank you for that. You really took your pain and you turned it into a purpose. That's what's coming to me as you're speaking, pain into purpose. Wow.
Yes, inspiration through information.
Yes, definitely. And if anybody wants to reach out to you or to contact you for any reason, how can they do so?
Well, if they choose to, they can go to I have a personal blog, which is
Mhm.
Inspiration Through Information. I have a website, inspirationthroughinformation.com, right? You can pull it up, and in the section of contact us, you can always send me an email, right? You can reach out to me through Facebook, through Instagram. All of them fall under Inspiration Through Information. It stays
Yes,
the same across the board,
yes,
so they can reach out to me anytime. I'm always, always never too busy to support someone in this process of mental health.
yes, yes. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. And thank you for listening and watching Dropping Gems. You have a blessed one. Holistic health. I'd like to thank Jamal and all of the work he is doing in his surrounding community. And a special thank you to you, my subscribers. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, click the like button, share, and leave a comment down below, letting me know how you enjoyed today's episode. Holistic health and much abundance to you. Peace and blessings.